In the daytime photos, the bullet hole in the side of the car has an evidence marker on it. It says I-1, which didn't seem to be unusual to me because in the criminalistics report, they refer to this bullet, Impact 1, as I-1. We went back down to APD to ask for the additional photographs to show these additional evidence markers. The Albuquerque Police Department denied that that marker was theirs, that they never processed the vehicle after it left the crime scene, and implied that I, or people working with me, had placed that I-1 evidence marker on the car. That was unacceptable to me. I tracked down the news video that turned out to be taken by KOB TV. We went down to KOB TV. They gave us access to all of their archives, found the footage, found out who took the footage. The videographer was Carrie Moots, interviewed Carrie Moots, and said absolutely he did not put that I-1 evidence marker there. APD insists that I-1 evidence marker is not theirs. They insist that they did not process this scene further. They insist there are no further photographs of this vehicle. We did some further interviewing and we find other people who said, yes, a second-day workup was done on the car, which would be totally consistent. It is more consistent that they would do a second-day workup. You can't do everything at a crime scene at night in slight rain. Why they don't want to identify this follow-up is very confusing to me. In these daytime photographs, we see another angle of the car which shows fresh damage to the left rear quarter panel on the side of the car. We went back and looked at the other pictures and went back to look at the criminalistics report, and it said there was damage to the left side and left rear, but it was old damage. We then interviewed the Arquette family and other people who had access to the car. They said that there was no damage to that left rear quarter panel and back on the day of the shooting. When did that damage occur?
I know there was no damage to that part of Kait's car, the bumper and quarter panel, because Kait was over that morning and I was working on my pickup truck out under the big tree in the front yard and passed behind her vehicle multiple times going to the garage to get tools. I would have seen that damage. It was too obvious not to have caught my attention.
We have other people who have looked at it and said that it was consistent with a pit maneuver being done where you strike the vehicle in a way to get it to pull over, which fits the explanation of why the Caitlin Arquette vehicle veered to the left and ended up against the pole instead of after her having been shot twice in the head, and the car should have veered to the right. We talked to the medical examiner, called the medical investigator in New Mexico. The medical investigator said that Caitlin Arquette, the damage to her brain from the shooting would have incapacitated, that the damage she sustained from the 2 shots to her head and brain would have incapacitated her. She would have been unable to control her car. How did her car get from what Albuquerque Police Department says is 700 feet away from where the shots were fired, where this glass is supposed to have been found in the street? However, there is no evidence of glass. All these questions are still unanswered. The Albuquerque Police Department insists till this day that this case is a random drive-by shooting. Our investigation says that Caitlin Arquette was deliberately targeted, and we may have information to indicate some things that caused her to be targeted. When we finally had access to the crime scene photos, it added some more information, but raised more questions for me. For example, the absence of blood on the left side of the vehicle when the victim was shot twice in the head and the driver's window is all broken out was interesting to me. The reports also indicate that there's no blood on the front part of the car. All the blood is to the right left floor, which is consistent with the medical investigators' observation that when Caitlin was shot, she would have immediately fallen over to the right side.